Okay, so I'm going to show a slightly harder way, but I think a better way to make the drip tray for the plant pot. So this is assuming you have a square or rectangular prism shaped plant pot. So this one's a cube, and I'm going to add a little bit to the bottom to make it all fit together. So let me go to the bottom. Okay, and now I'm going to click on this face because that's what I'm going to draw on, and I'm going to sketch a rectangle. I'm going to sketch it from the center, but I actually need an extra line to make this go through the center so that I can see where the midpoint is. So I'm going to click on this drop down and choose center line, and I want to center line from there to there. And you'll see that this is dashed instead of solid. That just means that it's never going to show up. It doesn't extrude or anything, doesn't fill. It just is there for guidance. Okay, I want to make a center rectangle that goes from the point where crosses both this the line up with the blue dashy line and that line. So from there, I'm going to come out. And what I want to do is I want to know how wide my rectangle is, because I want to make it slightly less, 3 mils less on all sides. So I do know how big my rectangle is, and I'm going to smart dimension it. My rectangle is, as yours is, 120 wide and 120 both wides. So it's a cube. So if I have 120 and I take off 3 mil on one side and 3 mil on the other side, then I end up with 114. If I go slightly smaller than 114, 113.5, then it's going to be much easier to fit it together. You won't have to jam them together and possibly break something. So we've got that side sorted. We're now going to go this side, and same thing, we're going to go 113.5. And so now we know that there's 3 mil plus a little bit from here to here. Okay, and so I'm going to make the drip tray. Oh, sorry. First of all, I'm going to extrude this. So tick that, exit the sketch. We're going to extrude from this place here. So extrude, and I only want to extrude a little tiny bit. 2 mil should do it. And if you tilt to see that that's working, see how it juts out a little bit. That's what we want, a little jutty-outy bit. Okay, and so now I can cut out the top so that it's hollow, and then punch some holes through and then make the drip tray. So let's do that first. I want to shell that whole shape and enter. Oops, undo. I want to shell, but I want to make sure that it's only 3 mil. I forget the default is 1 centimeter, and I just want it to be 3 mil. Okay, and so now you might see how there's a little bit of stepping down the bottom, right there. That might happen. That's not a big deal. It will just mean that it's 3 mil all the way around thickness. Okay, and now finally I'm up to punching some holes in this. So let me sketch on that base. So sketch, I'm going to draw some holes. That's probably not in the right place. Hang on. Arrow, and then drag it back from the corner. About there. And then I'm just going to duplicate that a bunch of times. So I want to go this way, and I want more than that. And I want to in the other direction as well. I don't want them 10 mil apart, more like 60 mil apart. I have no idea why that didn't work. Okay, I mustn't have had it selected. Sorry about that. So linear sketch pattern with my circle selected. I want, say, 3 across and 3 down, and I want them to be a certain, more than that width apart. So let's go with about 35, and then about 35. There we have 9 holes. That's going to be fantastic. So tick that, and now we're going to punch those through. So in order to do that, we need to exit the sketch, go to features, click on extruded cut, make sure that your sketch that you just made was selected, and then we want to extrude it more than 2 mil. Currently is saying 2 mil. We want to go more than that. So if we look at 12 mil, we know that that's going to cut through the side of the pot, through the bottom of the pot, sorry. And so when I click on tick and I tilt these, you can see that they are now holes that I can see all the way through, top and bottom. Okay, now let's zoom out. And we have this pot, and it has holes in it, and it has a little ridge on it, and now we need to make a little tray for it. So I'm going to do something that we've not done before. I want to make another plane that's parallel to this plane, but below the pot. So let's click on Reference Geometry and click on Plane, and it's telling me it can make something that's parallel to the top plane, and it's 10 millimeters above the top plane. I want to go many millimeters below the top plane. So I click on Flip Offset, and then I increase this until it sits well below the pot, because I want to be able to see a gap between. Okay, I click on Tick, and now I have this magical plane that I can make my pot base on, my drip tray. Okay, so now I'm going to draw my rectangle on plane 1. Like that. And I'm going to go from the center point and out to the sides like that. I want it to be the same size. Oh, it doesn't look like it's quite centered. Let's escape that. And we'll make sure that it's centered. So in order to center, I'm going to use that midpoint center line tool again. So I want to have the center line from this rectangle over to here. And then I'm going to do it again. Line, center line from this rectangle, and it highlights down to here. And when it starts to draw another line, you just hit escape. Okay, so now I have these lines that are going to help me to keep everything lined up. So I want to get that dot. See that dot right in the center? I'm going to use that center dot to center my square. So here we go. Click on that dot and draw out to the corners. And you can see that I've made my square exactly the same size as the square above it. But it is still below the whole thing. So see that? It's still below. All right, so now once I've got that done, I'm going to exit the sketch. I'm going to extrude that drip tray up. So let's extrude it. We need to make sure it's selected. So click on sketch 4 and let's have a look at how much it's extruded. So at the moment, it's defaulted to 12 mil. I think that might be a little big. I think that 5 mil is too small because we have 2 mil here of overlap and 3 mil is how thick the thing will be in the end. So that will leave no gap for the water. but in between 5mm and 10mm I think is about right. So I'm going with 8mm. You can choose millimeters, and then tick, and there is my lovely drip tray. And now I just need to shell that out so that I can fit the two together. Okay, so I want to click on the face that I'm going to shell from, but it's actually a little tricky to see. So if you find it tricky to see, you can actually hide the whole big drawing and just click on the face that you want to shell and click on shell and make sure it's shelling at 3mm and tick the tick button. And then I can bring my thing back again. So unhide, whoops, I'm hiding everything now, wrong button. Hide, show and show. And there we have, that's a pot. It's got holes in the bottom, it's got a drip tray under it, it's got a little ridge to hold on to the tray, and then this is the slightly more difficult way to make a fitted drip tray.